2020 was like DeFi summer. Then this year was NFT summer. Then metaverse. There's always something next for crypto. Do you have any thoughts on what some of those things might be that are coming next?
Probably.
Yeah. So, man, this was a big year for crypto. Obviously, the biggest probably in history. Is there anything that really surprised you in 2021?
Sort of the spring, maybe roughly. I think it was sort of like my time of greatest surprise. And it wasn't so much like price action. I think those were, roughly normal-ish. But I think what sort of caught me the most off guard was exactly how quickly regulation became just completely central to the ecosystem. What fraction of the discourse on crypto do you think regulation is today?
Over half.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. I think it's like the average conversation I have is like probably is greater than 50% about regulation. That's a massive fucking change, right? Like in 1 year, we've gone from not quite an afterthought, but really not a core piece of the ecosystem to like the single biggest piece by far. It wasn't shocking to me that regulation was going to become more central over time. That was, I think, pretty clear. But I would have said like, yeah, over the next 5 years, we're going to slowly see, regulation play a bigger and bigger role in all aspects of the cryptocurrency ecosystem. And, maybe 3 years from now, it'll be one of the 3 biggest topics or something. And instead it's like, no, 3 months from now, it'll be the single biggest topic. It just, right. It happened in a heartbeat. And what fraction of global financial regulators are thinking about crypto at least 10% of their time? I think it's sort of gone up from like 0% roughly to like 80%. It's like, prior to this year, like no regulator ever had interest in talking to us really, except for like people who had specific interfacing with crypto. And now all of a sudden it's like everyone does. Like, it's like we get like random countries, reaching out about this constantly. And I mean, you go on Capitol Hill, right? And like, you want to talk to congressmen about something. What do they want to talk about? Well, same thing everyone else wants to talk about, crypto. So it's just such a massive change that's permeated everything. And I was just, I was not expecting that evolution to happen with anything like the rate that it did.
I would think that if you're visiting Capitol Hill, they'd all want to talk to you about fundraising and getting reelected. But maybe now crypto becomes a part of that.
But no, actually, that way more talk about crypto than that. It's interesting.
So I guess we know obviously that it's happened. It's very clear. It's in the public eye. I guess the question then becomes, why? Is this a function of Bitcoin becoming so mainstream that they just have to address it? Or do you think that we had a catalyst like the infrastructure bill, which sort of accidentally brought this to the forefront? It's one sentence meant to raise more taxes and it threatens crypto. Everybody comes together and all of a sudden, it froze the infrastructure bill for 4 days. Biden's largest bill was frozen.
I think that the infrastructure bill definitely accelerated this a little bit. And I think like a lot of people were pretty surprised by how big that became so quickly. But I think it was inevitable one way or another. And, when I talk with lawmakers about crypto, they bring up the bill, like they're like, oh yeah, what do you think of that bill? That was kind of, I guess that was a big thing or something for the space, right? And then just the amount of attention that the rest of the world was spending on it, right? When you went home, like I'm sure when you went home to your family, if you did for the holidays, almost certainly crypto came up, but that's because you're fucking in crypto, right? But I think if you're not in crypto and you went home for your families, it still probably came up. It's just like, this is the hottest topic right now.
At the end of 2020, I would have said, we have the Michael Saylor narrative, MicroStrategy, everything was Bitcoin, institutional adoption. But I would say if you went home, Thanksgiving or Christmas 2021, you were probably either talking about how people sold an NFT for $69 million, how you're going to live in the metaverse, or which dog coin you're invested in.
Yeah, I think that probably sounds right. I mean, I think the metaverse narrative, by the way, again, completely expect over the next 5 years that narrative is going to pick up steam. I was shocked at how much steam it picked up in like 7 days.
Do you have any thoughts on what some of those things might be that are coming next? I mean, we obviously, 2020 was like DeFi summer. Then this year was NFT summer, then metaverse. There's always something next for crypto. Are there things that you're specifically looking at?
Yeah, there are a few things, and I don't want to express confidence that any of these will play out in a very particular way. All of this is me bullshitting. But, if I had to guess, I would guess that like probably NFTs in video games. I think that's a pretty good guess as to where we're going next. Obviously, there's so much chatter about it. And I also think it makes sense.
But what I find so interesting is that it's so much in its infancy, right? I mean, if you actually try to interact with Axie Infinity, for example, it's really complicated. Like you have to understand a MetaMask wallet, transferring ETH to a Ronin wallet, playing this game, which is kind of like 90s Tamagotchi, but people are doing it because they can make money, right? So obviously you have to assume that if you're the maker of a major video game, you realize the power of taking those in-game transactions and bringing them into the real world with real value.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's just like Axie is proof of how powerful this can be. I mean, I hope I'm not offending anyone by saying it's not like the most engaging game ever built if you take away the crypto aspect of it. It was sort of like CryptoKitties, the video game.
Nobody would play it if they couldn't make money.
Right.
Every conversation we're having here, it's like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible, which means that you're not late if you're coming in now. I mean, we really still feels like we're so early.
I think that's right. And I think that's probably is really the biggest takeaway is just like we are early.